Sometimes the hardest thing to hold is the thing we should have already let go. Maybe you felt this too. You hold on to a memory, a dream, a person, not because it's still right, but because letting go feels like losing a part of yourself. There is a strange comfort in holding on. Even when it hurts, it feels familiar, and what is familiar often feels safe. But safety and peace are not the same. Peace asks us to release what no longer serves us, to open our hands, and trust that life will carry what we cannot. Today's story is about that quiet moment when a heart finally learns to let go. It's not a story about success or failure. It's not about strength or weakness. It's about a small fox, a wise crow, and an old rope that once meant safety, but became a prison. Let each word touch your heart, not only your mind. Because language like peace grows slowly inside us. So, take a breath. Let's walk together into the forest, where a fox waits, tired, afraid, and still holding the rope. In a quiet forest where the wind spoke softly to the trees, a small fox lived alone. Her fur was golden, but her eyes were tired. Around her neck, there was an old rope, thin, worn, and covered with dust. She had been tied to the same tree for as long as she could remember. The tree gave her shade. The rope gave her safety. Or at least, that's what she believed. Every morning, the fox looked at the path beyond the trees. She could see light in the distance, sunlight dancing on the river. She wondered what it felt like to run again, to feel water touch her paws, to breathe without fear. But every time she tried to walk away, the rope pulled her back. It didn't hurt her body anymore, it hurt her heart. She whispered to herself, "I'm safe here. I don't need to go anywhere." But deep inside, another voice said, "You're not safe. You're stuck." Days turned into weeks, weeks into years. The rope became part of her, like a memory she couldn't forget. She stopped trying to escape. She stopped dreaming. And so she waited. Waited for something she couldn't name. Waited for life to change while staying exactly the same. One afternoon, as golden light touched the forest floor, the fox saw a shadow moving above her. It was a crow, black and calm, with eyes that saw everything. He landed on a branch nearby and looked at her in silence. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Only the sound of wind between the leaves filled the air. Then, the crow asked gently, "Little fox, why do you sit here every day when the whole forest is waiting for you?" The fox blinked, confused. She looked down at the rope. "I can't go," she said. "I'm tied. The rope keeps me here." The crow tilted his head. He looked closely and smiled. "The rope," he said softly, "is not tied to the tree anymore." The fox froze. She turned slowly and saw it. The rope had broken long ago. It was only hanging around her neck, dragging on the ground. She felt her heart beat faster. "That's not possible," she whispered. "I've been trapped my whole life." The crow nodded. "No," he said. "You've been holding yourself." The forest went silent. The fox lowered her head. She didn't know whether to cry or laugh. The crow flew away, but his words stayed. That night, the fox couldn't sleep. For the first time, she began to wonder, what if freedom had been here all along? That night, the moon rose quietly above the forest. Silver light touched the leaves, and the fox lay awake. The rope was still around her neck, but now it felt heavier than ever. Not because it held her, but because she finally saw it for what it was. She whispered to herself, "If I'm not really tied, then what am I so afraid of?" Silence answered her. A deep, honest silence. The kind that doesn't hurt, but reveals. The fox stood up, her legs were shaking. She took one small step forward, and nothing pulled her back. The world didn't fall apart. The sky didn't close. Still, her heart beat fast. Freedom felt strange, almost painful. Because after years of being trapped, even peace can feel dangerous. She sat down again. The forest around her was calm, but inside, there was a storm. What if I'm not ready? She thought. What if I get lost? What if I don't know how to live without this rope? The crow's voice echoed in her memory. You're not trapped. You're just holding the rope. She looked at her paws, trembling, unsure. Then she whispered, "But I don't know how to let go." And at that moment, she heard wings in the distance. The crow had returned. He landed beside her, quiet, patient. For a while, they said nothing. Then the crow spoke again. "You don't need to know how," he said. "You just need to decide." The fox looked at him, eyes filled with tears. "But I've carried this for so long," she said. "I don't know who I am without it." The crow opened his wings. "It's not the rope that holds you," he said. "It's your story about the rope." Then he flew away slowly, silently, leaving the fox alone under the pale light. She sat there for a long time. No words, no movement. Just breathing, just being. When the morning came, the forest was new again, and so was she. The sun touched her face, and she knew what she had to do. The morning arrived softly. Golden light touched the forest, and the fox opened her eyes. The rope was still there, but something inside her had changed. It no longer felt like safety. It felt like weight. She stood up and looked at the tree, the same tree that had been her home, her prison, her comfort. For years, she had waited for someone to come and free her. Now she understood. No one could do that but her. The forest was quiet, as if it too was waiting for her next move. She took a deep breath. Her heart was loud. Her paws were trembling. Slowly, she lifted the rope from her neck. It was lighter than she remembered, old, fragile, like the past itself. For a moment, she hesitated. Every memory tried to pull her back. The nights she cried, the fears she fed, the stories she told herself to survive. But then, she remembered the crow's words. "It's not the rope that holds you, Dot. It's your story about the rope." And just like that, she let it fall. The rope touched the ground, silent, gentle, final. A single leaf fell beside it. The sound was almost sacred. The fox closed her eyes. Her breath was deep. For the first time, she felt the air move freely around her neck. She felt the earth beneath her paws, warm and alive. She felt herself, truly herself, for the first time. She didn't run. She simply walked, step by step, without hurry. Each step was a small act of trust. The forest opened before her, wide and welcoming. She could hear the sound of the river again. It was the same sound she'd heard for years. But now, it was different. It was calling her, not mocking her. When she reached the riverbank, she looked at her reflection in the water. The fox she saw there was the same, and yet not the same. Her eyes were calm, her breath was slow. Her soul was quiet. She whispered to the reflection, "I wasn't tied. I was afraid, but fear is not a chain. It's just a story we believe." The wind passed gently through the trees, carrying away her words, as if the forest itself understood. Then, she smiled. Not a big smile, a soft, peaceful one. The kind that comes when you finally stop fighting yourself. She turned toward the forest path. The sun touched her back. And she began to walk, free, slow, and present. She didn't know where the path would lead. And for the first time in her life, that felt beautiful. The crow watched from above, quiet, unseen. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply watched, because wisdom knows, some lessons can only be learned in silence. Sometimes what keeps us trapped is not the rope, but the story we tell about it. The fox believed she was tied. And because she believed it, she lived that way, year after year, fear after fear. But when she looked closer, she saw that the rope was already broken. Freedom was not something she had to find, it was something she had to remember. Maybe that's true for you too. Maybe what hurts you the most is not what happened, but the way you keep holding it inside. You see, letting go is not forgetting, it's not giving up. It's not losing. Letting go means allowing life to move again, even through the parts that still ache. Peace doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from opening your hands and trusting that what is meant to stay will stay, and what is meant to leave was never yours to keep. So when you feel tired, when the weight of your own rope feels too heavy, stop for a moment. Breathe. Listen to the silence inside you. It already knows what needs to fall away. Maybe the real question is not, how do I let go? But what part of me is still holding on? Because just like the fox, you may discover that the rope has already broken. All that's left is your courage to walk free. And when you do, you'll see that life was never trying to hurt you. It was just waiting for you to open your hands. Final reflection, closing lines. The fox disappeared into the forest that morning. The crow flew higher, following her for a while. Then, he turned back to the tree, and where the rope once was, there was only sunlight. Maybe today is your sunlight too. Maybe this is the moment to forgive, to release, to trust again. Not to erase the past, but to walk beside it gently, without fear. Because in the end, the power of letting go is not about losing something. It's about coming home to yourself. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who might still be holding on. And tell me in the comments, what is the old rope you ready to release today? Remember, you don't have to rush. You just have to begin.